here.
Yeah, Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, probably the closest thing we've had to a Raw after Mania, but it wasn't after Mania that we've gotten this year because, man, oh man, Seth Rollins returned, Drew McIntyre quit the WWE, and of course, at the end of Raw, after Jey Uso punched his ticket to Money in the Bank, yeet, the Wyatt, the Wyatt Six debuted. The Wyatt family, whatever it seems like they're going to be referred to as the Wyatt Six, SICK. Number six.
Yeah, instead
in
of
the most stylized possible version of that name,
yes.
In incredibly dramatic, theatrical, and violent debut. Got everybody talking. Most of the discourse I've seen around this is incredibly positive, with some naysayers out there and some other people expressing concerns. The familiar concerns over what is next after such a spectacular debut. Seemingly, Chad Gable also has been killed off by WWE in a shock.
Well, he amongst other people, yeah, seemingly.
A bunch of the production staff, but who cares about them? We're talking about Chad Gable. He's on
screen. So like I guess let's talk about it in a macro sense. First, their debut. So yeah, after Jey Uso punched his ticket to Money in the Bank, seemingly no Finn Balor in the Money in the Bank ladder match unless they have some sort of last chance type bout. But given there's three from Raw and 3 from SmackDown going to the ladder matches for the men's and women, it seems unlikely that he's going to get one of those spots at this juncture. But it remains to be seen. Anyway,
we can still hope.
Jey yeeting it up in the audience, and the lights go down. And doors on the stage, door opens, light shines through, and then the light shuts off. And then through that door crawls Nikki Cross. And we haven't gotten their official names as members of Wyatt Six, but you got to assume that they're all representing the puppets from Firefly Funhouse. And so, of course, Nikki Cross would be Abigail.
Yeah.
And so she crawls through to a lantern, and she stands up and points towards the backstage area. So rather than the camera person going through the door, they go around, the door frame prop, and this one long tracking shot. And I'm curious if they did this all live with the fog and the effects and gorilla position and all that. It's pretty impressive. It's a pretty impressive feat. Now, there's probably a point where they track past the door frame, or maybe they could have had a cut, but I didn't notice. But I think on the way back out, I would
I'd be
too.
surprised at this point if they would do that, because that could be dangerous if something gets.
Although it looked like at one point Bo almost tripped over something when he started to walk. So
I didn't notice that. Yeah. It's very dark, crazy lighting. He's got that mask on, kind of
people laying around all over the place. There's fog all over the floor.
It's funny you mentioned that. Maybe I did notice it because I do remember thinking to myself, God, I hope we don't have what was the dude that fell through the door?
Shockmaster thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Anyways, continue on.
So the camera goes backstage, and we go to one area, and there's Eric Rowan as Rambling Rabbit. He's got a huge mallet.
Yeah.
Probably shout out to Luke Harper, Brody Lee,
the Bludgeon
Brothers. It says help on it, I believe, and there's a few people laid out on the floor. One of those people we're saying was Gunther. I'm skeptical it's Gunther for a variety of reasons.
Well, it didn't look like. I mean,
it didn't really
look
that
vaguely like him, but it
looked just as much like Brutus Creed to me as it did Gunther.
Same, yeah. It seems clear that they got a bunch of indie workers to be basically production people, production staff,
and get laid out.
You start making parallels. Oh my God, is that Carmelo Hayes? Well, he said on Twitter, no, it wasn't him. Oh, is that Triple H? No, he doesn't have an arm tattoo, and plus it barely looks.
He tweeted right afterwards. Right, and so it goes from there to gorilla position, and there's sparks flying down from lights, and there's blood everywhere, and there's fog all along the floor, and Dexter Lumis is there, I believe. Yes, Dexter Lumis is there.
Yeah,
sitting.
And he's the vulture dude.
Mercy the Buzzard.
Yeah, Mercy the Buzzard.
So camera keeps on going, and then we see Joe Gacy as Huskus.
As Huskus, yeah.
And then finally we see Bo as Uncle Howdy.
Yeah.
Light behind him, same sort of light that was at the door
And
that went out.
preceding him, the camera goes to Chad Gable, who
Yes.
looks like it. They did the makeup, so it looks like a gunshot wound to the head.
Well, there was a dude in Gorilla whose head was against the wall, and there's a huge
There's
blood
splatter.
stain behind his head.
There's splatter back there. Yeah.
So I understand why people make the assumption, oh, this is a murder scene, because the level of blood and
looks like
violence is atypical for WWE program.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, they focused on Chad Gable for a reason, because they wanted you to know without a doubt that was Chad Gable there.
Yeah.
Everybody else laid out, I'm skeptical, is a wrestler in WWE that's going to get involved in this story.
Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be any of those people.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Because if it was, they would have been given a lot more attention. It would have been lit more clearly so you could see exactly who they were, like Chad Gable was.
It'd have been very clear, yeah.
So then Bo, Uncle Howdy, starts walking back towards gorilla position. And as he passes by other members of the Wyatt Six, they join him. They all walk out to the stage by Nikki Cross. Bo lifts up the lantern. They all pose. Camera gets a good look at all of them. And he says, "We're here," blows out the lantern, end of Raw.
Yeah.
In terms of production, design, like everybody's gear looked awesome, the level of detail.
There's a couple of 4K images on floating around Twitter of the masks. They're immaculate. They're amazing.
Did or Jason Baker do them? Or Tom
I'm
Savini?
assuming so. From what we gather in the documentary, it seemed like he was still on board.
Yeah,
I think
it seemed
so.
like it. It seemed like it. That tracking shot, assuming it was all live. Holy shit! Because it wasn't that long before that Drew's backstage. Triple H is trying to stop him from leaving. So they basically had the duration of the main event to dress the set.
Well, part of the genius of it too is, we often these days in WWE on Raw, especially, but SmackDown too, because of the promo entrance one shot that they do, we go through Gorilla
all the time. Yeah,
it's rare that we linger in Gorilla long enough to really see everything. This episode, they made a distinct point organically of lingering there during the Drew McIntyre bit to show us what Gorilla is, what's going on back here. And then an hour later, whenever it was, we get to see it again, but it's a murder scene. And I thought that was a great bit of production to show us it first in an extended, relative to how it usually is, lengthier a segment to revisit it later. It's setting it up so that it's a familiar location to us, and then we get to revisit it. I thought that was a great production detail, and I don't think it was coincidental.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, it's probably about 45 minutes they had to get the backstage area ready, something like that, an hour maybe. So I guess before we get into ideas, theories about where this could be going, it's a situation obviously where the presentation day one is off the charts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And without knowing, because I think yesterday Fightful had a report saying that the thought was there would be less of a supernatural emphasis on the Wyatt Six stuff going forward. For me, fog equals supernatural. I don't know what it is. That's just how my mind works.
Yeah.
I see fog on the floor. Well, supernatural shit's about to go down.
You've watched plenty of movies in your life. You know what that means.
Exactly. That's not to say that this isn't just a presentation thing to introduce everybody, but the actual booking of the factions can be much more grounded in reality as opposed to supernatural stuff. So I'm not putting a ton of stock in that. But given how strong the presentation is and how much it directly references, and I wonder if this was going to be the path for everybody involved had Bray not passed away, if it was going to be the five of them plus Bray, if that was going to be the idea going forward. Don't know. I don't know if anybody's ever directly talked about it.
Because people have also noted that there were 5 characters last night, and it's known as the Wyatt Six, and there are various theories about what that means. Is Bray spiritually considered the 6 member, the lantern. I saw somebody say,
Yeah.
"Oh, the lantern is the 6 because it symbolizes Bray."
Yeah. Saw that too.
Is there going to be an Alexa Bliss as the 6? Is that going to happen? So there are questions left that I think are leading to some tremendous fan theories out there. I rarely get emotional when it comes to pro wrestling. It doesn't happen very often. I think I got misty-eyed when Bianca Sasha was starting that match at Mania because Bianca's emotions, she had to calm herself down.
Oh, so did Sasha. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's actually really powerful, understanding where they're at right now,
The magnitude
and
of
what
the moment.
they're doing.
For sure.
Yeah. But it's rare that I get emotional. And I saw this last night and I was like, this is really, really cool. And when I started looking at, I did a silly Wrestle Juice video looking at the internet reactions of it. And in doing so, I came across a couple of details. And then I stumbled upon something that I'm sure a lot of people out there might have already noticed, but I hadn't noticed it on social media. And maybe because when Bray passed, it was kind of in close proximity to my dad passing. And, I was wrapped up in that, and the Bray stuff hit really hard because he was so young. But so I don't know if this is out there and I sound like a Johnny-come-lately, so be it. But it hit me when I noticed this. One thing that we neglected to mention, during the entire backstage bit, the opening note from Shatter, the piano was over and over, which was a brilliant piece of tension. It was, and I don't know if it was in the arena or not, but it was, it was for TV at the very least. And it was playing. And so I was like, man, I love that song. It's such a powerful song. And so I looked it up. Have you ever looked at the lyrics to this song? Okay, so you and I are on the same page right here. Bro, I got misty-eyed when I saw what the lyrics to the chorus are. And then it opened up a bunch of shit with what they could do here.
Yeah.
This is the chorus to Bray's theme, Shatter, and what seemingly is going to be for this. The first line is, "Die for me, brother. Know not what you've seen. Love one another. Know not where you've been. Lie for me, brother. Know not what you've said. Use me for cover. When things break, things shatter." I read those lyrics and I was fucking shocked at... There's a real life tragedy with Bray passing, with the man, with his family and all that stuff. The beauty of Bray Wyatt was the creativity of the man.
Yeah.
And sometimes in real life, there can be some poetic beauty. And I see that in these lyrics right here. Somebody noted on Twitter also that Bo was wearing last night one glove that said Bray. He wore it on his right hand. When Bray wore those same gloves, the right hand was hurt. This has the potential. And this is why I love, and I hope that they do, in fact, ground this, because you have the opportunity here. Number one, when you have the ability to execute something that honors, in this case, Bray Wyatt, by his brother Taylor, Wyndham and Taylor. When you know factually that Wyndham would approve of this and get such a big kick out of this, which he would, having seen what the guy has brought to us on TV, he would love this and he would appreciate this. When you have an opportunity to not only honor your brother like this, but also to help yourself heal, that is such a powerful thing. And I honestly think if they are able to tell some sort of story that is reflective of grief and the process of grief, I think you could do some really interesting stuff, even understanding that you got to run ropes. If the idea is, and obviously it's the right time to do it because Vince ain't here.
Yeah.
If Vince was here, I'd never, ever, ever, ever suggest this.
No.
But given how respectful Triple H seems to be of the storytelling process, if this man, Taylor, Bo Dallas, is just hurting like he is in real life, and his only way, his mission is to honor his brother, carry out his vision, but also to try to find some healing when right now all he is hurt. There can be some really interesting stuff. And it's away from, Joe Gacy wants the Intercontinental Championship. It's not that. It's he's got this crew of people who are there that are his support system.
Yeah.
Which if you're going through grief, you need a support system. You have to have that. And instead of LA Knight saying, and I know it's a different brand, but whatever. Instead of an LA Knight type saying, oh, look at you, you're silly in your little Halloween outfits. We have to understand that this guy is going through some shit and he's lashing out. And we're here to try to help him as the WWE. We're here to try to help this guy heal. But as you sometimes do when you're under this extreme emotional duress, you lash out. You try to cause the pain that you're feeling.
Yeah.
And it can be, when you boil it down to stories, there's a variety of ways I think that can take shape. We saw Bray approach that kind of stuff in different ways, trying to get John Cena to go against his own ethics and morals.
Yeah.
And, Vince just didn't know how to handle that stuff. And so it ended up with a terrible compromise. But I think that if it's done respectfully, there can be a thing where the good guys of WWE, even the Seth Rollins of WWE, are saying, look, we're all hurting, man, and we're here to help you. And Taylor's like, I'm going to put you through. I want people to feel this level of pain. And that's motivation enough to fuck with people in the wrestling ring,
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be wearing the Uncle Howdy mask while you're he can be Bo. He can be, because that's what we know. We know him as Bo.
Yeah. He could be
And
Taylor.
I think you probably stay that, not necessarily Taylor. You stick with the Bo thing. And you don't shy away from the fact that the guy is trying to heal. You don't shy away from this is me like dealing with my grief and people trying to tiptoe around that. And sometimes, I remember Kevin Nash after his son passed was saying, I don't want to go out there because everybody, I was talking to my sister about this after my dad's memorial. And it's like, memorials are like days, weeks after somebody passes, you're supposed to organize a party for them and then be confronted with 100 people all coming up to you, reminding you of what happened. They're horrible. Where my mom's from in Paraguay, they don't do that shit. Yeah. You just fuck off, leave me alone. And people, they honor the dead in a different way. And all sorts of cultures honor the dead in a different way.
Yeah.
Here in this culture, a couple days after somebody dies, you got to organize a little party for them and have a bunch of people remind you of what you just lost.
Yeah.
And that level of complexity, I think, is a big challenge to address in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But dude, I think it could be a powerful one. And when I saw those lyrics, I was like, this dude just honored his brother in the most beautiful way I could possibly imagine. And that got me a little misty-eyed, putting that together.
Yeah. And going back and watching what we saw last night made me think of, and granted, we didn't get a whole lot about how Uncle Howdy, the character, fit into what Bray was going to do when he came back from after he was released and came back. Bray was always very keen on the dichotomy of man.
Yeah.
That's what the Firefly Funhouse Fiend thing was. It seemed like he was taking the similar tack with a different approach, with a much more grounded version of himself. But then, maybe some of the more, violent instincts that he had within him were being represented by Uncle Howdy. But again, the sample size was, we had Uncle Howdy jumping off a thing onto LA Knight in one match. That's the only sample size we've really had,
Yeah.
but still trying to see, because it seems between now. Did you notice if on he had Bray on the right hand, which usually had the hurt glove? Did he have the heel one on the other?
I don't believe he had anything on the other one.
All right,
I could be completely wrong about that. Maybe somebody in chat can verify it for us.
Yeah, because I'd seen something about him not having the heel. Okay, so yeah, didn't have the heel one on. And how much they're going to take of what had been kind of thought of or established previously. I mean, because even go back to the Firefly Funhouse, those puppets were aspects of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Manifested as puppets. And him dealing with the ups and downs of his life and career. And it was all set in a children's show. Mm-hmm. And to take those same aspects of Bray, and it's almost like Bo is surrounding himself with the aspects of Bray that are still with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Provide a measure of support for himself.
Yeah, and comfort. Yeah.
But I don't think he knows how to do if Uncle Howdy is kind of like the embodiment of Bray Wyatt's violent nature. The only thing he knows how to do is lash out.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to heal.
Yeah.
And if the idea is to take these characters on that journey, or at the end of which there's a measure of healing provided to all of them through this journey, then that could be some interesting stuff, and if it's more rooted in emotion and reality, it'd probably be easier to bridge the gap between these pretty high concept ideas in terms of storytelling and the bell ringing and having to run ropes.
I mean, when I think of Joe Gacy, for example, the schism stuff, I thought there were some seeds of some cool ideas there. Yeah. But as usual with stuff like that, when you're dealing with like a cult gimmick, it sort of turns into, very vague, ambiguous, monotonous sometimes monologues and promos where you're just there to disrupt to a degree. And there's not a real manifesto. I mean, that was a heavy criticism from you for Sanity. It's like, what is the point? Like, there's a lot of cool elements here, but what's the point?
Yeah. Why are they doing this? Yeah.
With this, I think it would be so much more interesting if instead of smiling crazy guy Joe Gacy, we got a little bit of like, I'm trying to help this guy. Bray was an inspiration to me, and I saw that Bo needed help, and that's what I'm trying to do. Then you're opening yourself up to these people are trying to do something good, but they're hurting everybody around them.
Because they're hurting themselves,
And they're hurting themselves, yeah. And I think because then it doesn't turn into, it's not like good guys and bad guys. It's not, these guys are goofy en masse. It's like they're going through their own grieving ritual. And so, a guy like Joe Gacy, I'm not going to take him as just some crazy dude, because that's always so boring in pro wrestling.
One-dimensional. Yeah.
The trope across narrative and fiction of crazy guy, that's why I wasn't a big fan of the Joker movie. I know we catch static for that. I wasn't a big fan of that movie because it's like, I'm off my meds, so now I'm going to be a violent person, when it's so disrespectful to.
It is.
And on top of that, it's sort of cheap and lazy.
Yeah.
I thought there were things about that movie that I liked. The production design was off the charts, and Joaquin Phoenix, you can't take your eyes off him in anything.
Scene on the talk show set, though, no good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie, but you showed me that scene. I'm like, this is.
I was like, this is the scene in the movie. This will determine whether or not you'll be interested. And I know you so well. I know you were going to be like, this is, Vapid or whatever. But getting back to it, I think if the WWE roster has to try to understand these characters as opposed to simply dismiss them as violent and aggressive and something to be, beaten with a DDT.
Yeah. To be super kicked. Yes.
Something has to be super kicked.
Yeah.
When the fight is reluctant because you don't want to hurt somebody who's hurting.
Yeah.
I think that would be so much more interesting. And maybe I am overly optimistic about that. And I understand that it's a challenge, but at least try to bring, and hey, maybe Taylor is not comfortable doing that. And if that's the case, then I understand. I get that. If this is an escape for you, or you just want to play a super villain, then so be it. But I do think the opportunity is there for something that could be, you know, bro, they've got, ever since the Bloodline thing, and then you see the Drew and CM Punk stuff, they have proven that when they want to, boy, oh boy, they can tell some stories.
Yeah.
And they should not shy away from trying stuff that's more complex and more in depth and more emotional and more at the heart of who we are. Mm-hmm. You know, pro wrestling for decades has not even come close to exploring that kind of stuff because Vince McMahon has been the guy, and everybody in the rest of the wrestling world kind of just has that as the template, and they just sort of follow that lead. And you know, I mean, there's been outliers. There's been like the Lucha Undergrounds, which has tried to reinvent the wheel to a degree, or play with the format at least.
The visual language of pro wrestling. Yeah,
you got Eddie Edwards turning into a legit werewolf over in TNA.
You got someone getting beheaded with a guillotine on.
He had his wife.
What the heck?
Yeah, Alicia Edwards. But yeah, man, I think that there's the potential there for something that could be incredibly cool and interesting. And if it just ends up being like a bunch of cool theatrical visual stuff, and you know, so be it. Whatever Bo wants to do and he's comfortable doing, so be it. You know, the guy I know he's a hell of a performer too. I've seen enough of his stuff, whether it's the Bo Leave stuff or whatever. He's got a compelling presence like his brother did. And so I don't think this is going to be a washed down version of Bray. I think with Bray's passing, and I think it should be encouraged to explore what that means, because Bray just seems, having watched a bunch of interviews with the guy and having watched his work since he debuted, he seems like the kind of guy who would be so into the idea of exploring those deeper things.
Yeah. And you know, looking at the details, like the Bray glove on the right hand instead of the hurt one, you'd like to think those details aren't coincidental, that they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, and it's to give us a sense of where the story is going to go. So you know, again, if whatever Bo wants to do with this, whether it's a complex, in-depth meditation on grief and healing, or just going out there and doing a bunch of badass stuff with people in cool-looking gear, whatever. But you're right. There's the material here to do something different and really kind of meaningful about the human condition.
Yeah.
And getting that in pro wrestling, and that just doesn't happen very often. You know, prior to the Bloodline stuff, you know, I think we both were kind of the opinion that a lot of the Gargano Ciampa stuff in NXT was some of the best storytelling they've done in wrestling, because, wow, a knee brace isn't just a knee brace; it's a metaphor and whatnot. And then we got the Bloodline story, which is, you know, it's like The Godfather or Goodfellas. You know, it's almost like a novel where you got these complex characters with their own motivations and the politics and the tensions that arise between them all. And now if they can find a way to tell this story, if that's what they're going to do, we don't know yet, to have this meditation on grief and healing, it's something we don't see in the world of pro wrestling.
Yeah. You're right.
With any sort of level of maturity, you know, and thought, and hopefully we get that from this, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, whatever story they have lined up to tell, we could sit here and book in our heads what we think would be compelling to us. But I just hope they have a vision for this and where it's going to go, and just not kicking this off with a concept. That doesn't really seem to be WWE Creative's MO these days, anyways. Yeah. So, you know, I'm hopeful there's something interesting coming of this, and whether it's intentionally meant to be a story about healing, or just by the act of doing this for Bo, it's a measure of healing. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Based on the storyline, just what we saw last night, the little details of where it could lead. I'm curious to see where it goes. Yeah,
no, same, absolutely. Heather here in the YouTube chat says, talking about the help on Rowan's mallet. Does he already want out? Does he not want to hurt people, even though they always hurt Rambling Rabbit? That's the kind of stuff that, with that attention to detail. And, you see the people that are involved with this, Rob Fee, they kept him on as like the character development guy. And I have no doubt that they are putting a lot of attention to detail in this stuff. And it does seem like the atmosphere, I mean, everybody says the atmosphere in WWE right now, creatively speaking, is a collaborative one. Yeah. And it's one where they're trying to find interesting stuff for people to do. And I don't think they should shrink from the challenge. If everybody's on board with it, they shouldn't shrink from the challenge of really telling something. I mean, dude, with Vince gone, the sky's the limit in terms of how they can really. The one thing that I would love for them, God, I really wish they would do this. We could talk about Chad Gable really quick. Obviously, he's not dead, although I did offer up. How cool would it be if this dude went on a podcast, said, "Oh yeah, I re-signed with WWE,"
and they wrote him off. Yeah,
and then they wrote him off, and he goes to AEW. I think that'd be amazing and awesome funny for him to have done that. Yeah. But I don't think that's the case. I think that. I love the idea that my only gripe is, bro, they've got to bring in some fly on the wall cameras. Like, please do that. The bit with Alpha Academy and Chad Gable, for so many reasons other than the idea of camera guy right there as the Alpha Academy have this private moment where Otis, with all the dignity in the world, says, "We're leaving." And there shouldn't, he made his physical stand against Gable, but the old trope of let's beat him down. No, he didn't do that. He did something worse. He left with dignity. He just left. The Alpha Academy packed up and they left. And Chad Gable left with nobody. I'm going to do something he didn't do. I'm going to get money in the bank. And then he's left laying backstage with the bullet hole or blood coming down. Does this pave the way, transitioning to this story, for Alpha Academy, for Otis to now feel immense guilt?
Oh, I would think so, yeah.
And come crawling back to allow Gable to now manipulate them even more.
I wonder if they set up Gable as, in some ways, seemingly, the first feud for Uncle Howdy. Because what is Gable, especially the last 2 or 3 weeks, been saying? Oh, Alpha Academy is a family.
Yeah.
This is a family. And to see him treat his family in the way he has, if that is going to be an issue, philosophically, morally, for Uncle Howdy.
He's taken for granted.
Yes.
What Howdy lost.
Yes. And so if it's a situation, without a doubt, it's a situation where Otis is going to feel a measure of sympathy for what happened to Chad Gable. Now, I'm sure Chad is going to try to enlist Alpha Academy's help against Wyatt 6, if that's where this is going. But I don't know what kind, if having this feud is going to be an attempt to put Alpha Academy in a situation where then there is some healing to take place amongst them, where Gable would see the error in his ways and realize, I can't treat my family in such a manner. I can't take them for granted.
Dude, wouldn't it be something if Howdy, through the hurt, helped everybody else heal? The inverse of what Bray used to do. He would get in a feud with somebody, and then 6 months later, they'd go bad guy.
Yeah,
they'd turn bad. He would help them to hurt, and this is the opposite of that. Holy shit, that could be something else. Yeah, I could see. I think. This is what Heather says. Is this when Gable recruits the Creeds as his muscle insurance policy? I think it'd be interesting if Gable is traumatized by the violence that was inflicted to him and that he witnessed back there, and found his own path to healing. I mean, I don't know, but again, like we've talked about, the freaking possibilities here really are interesting and pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
Before we continue on with our Raw recap real quick, we've got over 1,000 people watching right now. A lot of people, this is, dude, I'm not throwing shade anywhere. But I'm just going to say, I absolutely love this era where we get to talk about how good the creative is in this company. It is such a
well,
wonderful
I'd
thing.
say obviously WWE's on the creative uptick right now, but if AEW was doing interesting creative stuff, we'd be just as excited about talking about their stuff too.
I ain't throwing no shade at nobody.
I'm saying,
but
we like we're at a period
yeah.
where the potential is that we could talk about interesting creative, even in TNA, where Edwards is apparently a werewolf now.
It's awesome, and we love talking about that stuff. If you like what you hear here, do us a solid, throw us a like. It looks like the thumbs up. Give us a subscribe, and of course that notify bell so you guys know when we go live. Also, we've got a big predictions challenge that we do every single month for the Big Blue Predictions Championship, and we offer up bonus episodes and question threads, and you can get all that stuff by signing up for the Friendo Club setup. It's $5 a month. It's a great way to help support Going in Raw. You can get it one of two ways: by clicking join right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, or by going to patreon.com/Steve and Larson and hitting that Friendo Club setup. We also had a couple of super chats and channel members here. Steve Kuharski's been a channel member now for 52 months.
How is that possible?
Wow, that's a long time. We've been around for a long time. And a very short period of time. He says, R.I.P. Shorty G. Bobcat Lewis with Super Chat says, just wanted to show some love to the show. Thank you very much, Bobcat Lewis. We appreciate that. Also, Dan Harrington here with Super Chat says, my prediction is Drew is going to challenge Moose and TNA for their world title, or Trick Williams, but CM Punk shows up and screws him again. I think there's some cool ideas for Drew McIntyre with this TNA relationship that I kind of don't see any of them happening. But I think it would be awesome if he quit and went there as Drew Galloway. Wouldn't that be cool?
Why stop with TNA? Why not go to Noah too if there's a burgeoning relationship there as well?
Yeah, or AAA if they're gonna do a thing with them. There's a report out that it was Lucha Libre. Oh crap!
Online, I think, wasn't it?
Online, Lucha Libre Online said that right now they're trying to get some relationships in Mexico as well. And given that AEW's stands to reason, maybe there'd be a AAA relationship.
Could happen.
John Leonard also. I know there's other, there's the Crash. There's Riot, Lucha Libre over there as well. Yeah. There's a bunch of others, but AAA is the big dog over there.
AAA and CMLL are two major promotions.
Yeah. John Leonard, new channel club member. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the love here on the YouTube.
Yes.
Seth Rollins came back, Larson.
Yeah, so it kind of threw a bit of curveball, and no, I assumed that Damian Priest was going to have a title defense at Money in the Bank. He's the World Heavyweight Champion. This is one of the major 5 pay-per-views. He should have a title defense. It's not anticipating Seth Rollins coming back. He wasn't, apparently, according to Fightful, it wasn't listed on any of the internal rundowns of the show, so legit surprise in terms of him showing up last night. So Seth comes to the ring to open the show and says, I came back for one reason. I want to go down as one of the greatest of all time. To do that, I need to get my belt back, the World Heavyweight Championship, the belt I made. Of course, this brings out Damian Priest. They go back and forth a bit, and Priest says to him, you don't have to enter Money in the Bank, because that's what Seth said he was going to do to get another opportunity. I'll give you a title shot at Money in the Bank. Now, I don't necessarily think Seth is going to win. I think they're trying to get Damian a couple of really good, successful defenses before losing to Gunther at SummerSlam.
Okay, so even the arrival of Seth Rollins.
So I don't think there's any universe where Damian Priest will pin Gunther. No disrespect,
like with distractions and stuff. That's
no, I don't. Even with distractions, I don't feel like Damian Priest will pin Gunther in the year 2024. I'm pretty firm in believing that.
Yeah.
If by some creative decision they decide Seth beats Priest at Money in the Bank and faces Gunther at SummerSlam, I still think Gunther would probably win.
Wow.
But I wouldn't say without a shadow of doubt that he is going to win or won't get pinned.
Seth Rollins, transitional champion for Gunther?
That's why I don't think that's going to happen. I think Priest is going to beat Seth and they'll lose to Gunther at SummerSlam.
Yeah. I still think that there's at least a 30 to 40% chance that Priest gets through Gunther at SummerSlam. South of Heaven gets it done.
No. No.
And then walks into Berlin, and we're talking squash at this point.
No.
This is what happens. Gunther goes for a chop. Priest grabs. He grabs it.
Is he gonna hit a south of heaven on Gunther's chopping hand? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. He grabs the hand.
Well, here's the thing about Gunther. He's so much more than just chops. He could beat you 5 different ways.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah. But Priest only needs one. South of heaven, maybe.
Drew kicked out of a south of heaven.
Yeah, maybe a
At
super
Clash.
South heaven. Yeah, but Gunther is no Drew, man.
They were saying last night that Damian Priest almost lost his leg. That's going to be a target for Gunther. No, there's no chance. There's no chance that Damian Priest beats Gunther. No chance.
All right.
I guess 2% botch. I'll give it 2%.
I'm about 28 to 38% more than that than you.
Nope. Nope.
What
Decent
about
Knowledge Judgment Day out there? Ain't
all
gonna
right.
matter.
How about this? Listen
What?
to this. How about this? The tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns, comes back for Berlin.
That would happen after Gunther already won. Because then that would actually set up Gunther versus Roman Reigns for the title.
Gunther versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns hasn't been seen since he lost to Cody. They walk into Berlin against each other. It takes a couple of Superman punches and a couple of spears, but surely, clean as a dream, the returning Roman Reigns pins Gunther clean.
That match wouldn't happen because Roman's going to go after Cody.
But if it did...
No, Gunther wins. It's all about building up Gunther, brother. Come on now. Gunther's lost one match in the last 2 years, and it's all because of hubris.
When
you
Gunther
watch King of the Ring,
loses-
he was focused.
Number one, Gunther lost to Braun Breaker. When
That was
Gunther
in NXT. Doesn't count. I'm talking about main roster, bro.
when Gunther loses SummerSlam,
Yeah, loses.
you know what? The arrogance from you, the hubris from you,
Yeah,
is leading to a
hubris.
lot of people
That's my
with some asinine suggestions for
I got to put something
punishments.
on the line if Gunther loses.
No, listen. This is all I want you to do, and I'll supply it for you. Wear a glove that says hurt.
Oh, if Gunther loses?
If Gunther loses, when Gunther loses, just wear a glove that says hurt.
I make no promises.
Because that's not asinine. Come on, man. He's got the most epic beard in wrestling, in internet wrestling right now, man. He's not going to shave that
It
thing.
off. Come on. What kind of nonsense?
Come on. What are you guys talking
What kind of
about over
nonsense is
here?
that? But yes, if Seth somehow walks out of Money in the Bank with the World Heavyweight Championship, yes, that changes the algorithm a little bit. I wouldn't guarantee a Gunther win.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think something happens. I think something happens there at Money in the Bank. Yeah, then Seth's not going to walk away with that world title.
No.
I mean, I don't know if they would try to do a same day cash in or not, but I see Priest walking out of Money in the Bank, still champion.
Yeah.
And then it's entirely possible. Triple H, dude loves Gunther. It's entirely possible. You know, good 60-70% chance that Gunther doesn't get pinned clean there at SummerSlam and walks away the world champion. We'll see more of that. But yeah, good to see Seth Rollins back. A lot of people surprised that he's back already.
Yeah. We hadn't heard any sort of inkling that he was nearing a return, so it's good to have him back.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. As awesome as the Wyatt Six's debut was, probably my second one of those segments where I was like, Lacey was sitting next to me, and I these days it's difficult to be embarrassed by, even watching the goofiness of WWE. When Liv Morgan wearing dude, this I fucking loved. I was screaming when she said, "You can have your vest back, but you got to take it off me." Oh, damn. Oh, man. And Priest comes walking around the corner. Oh, fuck. Who is
Dude,
writing
around the
this
corner,
shit? It's so good.
He's looking at his phone while, like I am when you're trying to make a good point, and there's like, Dom.
Oh, because Dom, just the zipper coming down, and she's fully clothed underneath. Just the zipper coming. Dude, this is like, because, obviously they can't go that far with it. This is like the Walls of Jericho. Not talking about Jericho, but, the old movie where they did that shit where it's all implied, but it's still highly charged.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was good.
Yeah.
Oh, and Damien's like, Liv, come on, man. Can you just leave the guy alone? He doesn't
want
none of
anything to
this.
do with you. And she says, he wants everything to do with me.
God damn. She is evil, man. She is evil, but it is being played so perfectly. That shit with Dom Mysterio. You see him back there. He's looking, where's my cow vest, man? And then she came. We all know who took it, but then you can have it back if you take it off me. Fucking A, what? Oh, that's good stuff, right?
I like they addressed Finn taking the key card last week.
Same, yeah.
And, I don't think anybody's buying his explanation. Oh, I took it to protect Dom.
Yeah. Dude, it is slipping out of Damian Priest's hands. He's trying to get basically on the straight and narrow. He's like, listen, I want to take care of this shit, this world champion. He's on a mission to prove that he's legit.
Yeah.
Which is a great bit of motivation for him. And Finn's saying, I got your back. And Priest is like, we'll table that. And Finn's like, what? You don't need us anymore? Okay, I just kind of see how it is. And then he's like, hey, but listen, I know you're going to win Money in the Bank. If you get that briefcase, can I count, where's your head at?
Yeah.
Because he's showing Finn that he kind of doesn't trust him by questioning him in the first place.
Yep.
If you got Money in the Bank, I know you wouldn't cash it on me, right?
And Finn says, I'll cash in and become champ on Cody.
Oh, man.
Oh, that pause there.
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, some really good stuff. We got a new channel club member, Missy. Thank you very much, Missy. Appreciate it. High Plains Drifter here with Super Chat says, so all the puppets are representative except are represented except for they're not bringing the Vince puppet back, man. No. And then Peter here with the Super Chat says, any chance Drew gets inserted to the Seth-Priest match, wins it,
he quit.
Punk beats him up. Yeah, so he came out as bummed out as can possibly be.
I liked how he delivered it because it wasn't like he stared at the camera and said, I quit.
Right.
I need to do a Vince voice there, but, that's the idea that you do it with, like, super gruff, intense voice.
Mm-hmm.
He was defeated.
Mm-hmm.
And he delivered it like a man who was defeated.
Yeah, he's over it.
I can't deal with this anymore. I quit.
Screw this company. I quit. Screw this company. Yeah. Dude, with that TNA, boy, I'm sorry, but these opportunities are so... Go to TNA! Go to TNA!
Go to Noah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I suspect, my guess is it's a ruse to just absolutely fucking eviscerate Punk in Chicago.
Yeah.
On SmackDown. Because I think that's the deal. I think Punk is going to be... Well, we know Punk is going to be on SmackDown.
He should do it before Punk announces whether he's cleared or not.
So there's a good cliffhanger aspect to that. You don't think it would be more impactful for Punk to say, hey, good news, everybody. I'm good to go. I'm going to wrestle a house show starting tomorrow. And then Drew comes out and he robs it from him. He's not.
Well, because here's the thing. If he says, I'm going to come out and wrestle house shows tomorrow, people are like, oh, I can see Punk at a house show. I'm going to go get tickets. And by the time they get on Ticketmaster and buy their tickets, and then Drew hits him with 10 claymores to write Punk off TV again. I'm irate fan. I bought ticket for house show that CM Punk just advertised.
Card subject to change.
Oh, that doesn't keep people from being upset. You know better.
No. Okay, so you don't do this. So he doesn't say I'm going to start wrestling tomorrow. No. But hey, good news. I've been cleared.
There's one way you could go either route with it.
Yeah.
If it's a situation where Punk is building up to essentially say, you get the idea that he's going to say I'm cleared.
Right.
And Roddy's about to say, the doctor told me I'm wapa. Boot to the face.
Oh, could you imagine if they staged that television-wise?
Oh, I know.
Where, like, the Claymore literally comes out of nowhere?
Yep.
Oh, my God. That'd be good.
So it is in Chicago, really, so you're going to deprive the hometown fans of hearing Punk say, I'm cleared.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Heat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, Triple H, he knows that. He knows how to get that proper hometown heat. Not just, have somebody get beat in their hometown. No, man.
No. Aussie here says, who buys tickets to a house show while the SmackDown episode is still on? I don't know if it's possible.
Marks, that's who. Some Marks.
CM Punk fans. Oh, he's going to be at the house show tomorrow.
With their tongue out like they're...
No, that's me thinking. That's why I look when I'm focused on something.
Oh, yeah.
That's my concentration face.
Yeah. Another Friendo Club channel member here. Dan. Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Dan.
it. All right, now that we're 50 minutes deep, we should probably get into the actual recap. Larson.
I guess we should open it up, as mentioned, with Seth Rollins. And he just says, welcome back to Monday Night Rollins. Visionary, revolutionary, all that kind of stuff. And that's what he talks about. I came back for one reason. I want to go down as greatest of all time. To do that, I need to win the title I made back. Money in the Bank is the first step and the easiest step to getting back in that direction. Damian Priest comes out, says, I genuinely want to welcome you back. You look great. You look healthy. It's great to have you back. But straight up, I wanted to cash in on you out of respect because you made the world title. I wanted to cash in on you. So, it wasn't. I like that he mentioned that because he wanted to cash in on the guy who elevated and was the first champion as opposed to a guy who had the belt for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He said, nonetheless, it turned out pretty good. Here to tell you this at Monday Night Rollins anymore. This is the show where we all rise for El Campeón.
Mm-hmm.
And Seth says, oh, he had a tough weekend. Cut him some slack because he was getting booed. Priest was. Mentions getting the leg caught in the ropes and said, we got a lot in common. You made your name in a faction, Judgment Day, just like I made my name in the greatest group of all time, The Shield. Both won Money in the Bank. Both cashed in at WrestleMania. But here's the thing that separates us, is that along the way, I grew a set. He says, I was talking about legacy earlier. In order to get that, I had to learn to stand on my own 2 feet. Let me ask you, we've all wondered since you won the title, what kind of champion do you want to be? What do you want your legacy to be? Do you want to be the greatest, or are you going to be a footnote in the history of Judgment Day? Ooh. And that's when Priest gets mad. Says, you don't have to worry about Money in the Bank. Ladder match, you get a title shot at the show.
Yeah.
And then Seth's like, seriously? This ain't a trap? Judgment Day's not going to come out and beat me up. And Priest's like, nope, nobody's coming out. They don't even know I'm out here.
They don't even know he's out there. What a great line.
Says, do you want a title shot or not? And Seth says, well, if it can be that simple, sure, I accept. The show will always and forever be Monday Night Rollins.
Yeah. That was. I thought it was a good segment. It was a good segment. It felt meaty. When you can start addressing, okay, hey, we got some similarities. You cashed in at Mania, I cashed in at Mania. Making a lot of good points there. Mm-hmm. And advancing the story of Damian Priest's separation from Judgment Day.
Yes.
After that, they show a recap of the Ricochet stuff, and we see Pierce on the phone with Alpha Academy. Gable walks in. He says, Pierce, I've been looking for you. Much like me, you're an intellectual, a man with common sense. He said that sort of through gritted teeth towards Maxine. He says, one who would understand if it wasn't for my number one disappointment, Bo Peep and Mr. Everyday Off over here, I'd be Intercontinental champion. I'm here to ask for a rematch. And Pierce says, I know how important it is to you. He says, I know that you've gotten opportunity after opportunity after opportunity and not getting the job done. I get that. You know what else? You need to get back to the back of the line and win to earn your chance just like everyone else. And Gable says, hear that? Back of the line? Do I belong in the back of the line? He grabs his Howie shirt. He says, I'm the leader. I'm the front of the line. I'm game, though, so find me somebody worthy. And Pierce says, anyone? And Chad's like, all right. And Pierce says, I have the perfect opponent for you. And we see who that perfect opponent is a little bit later. It turns out to be Braun Strowman. But before we get that match, we see Isla and Elba arriving. And then we have that match. It really wasn't that long. And Chad is he's on tilt, as they say in the poker world.
Yeah.
And Braun was able to hit him with that power slam in the end and get the win here.
It hurts to watch Braun run at this stage in his career.
They need to stop having him run.
He shouldn't do the shoulder tackles around the ring. I know it's popular and all, but
leave that at this point to Braun Breaker, because that shit he did with Ludwig was fucking awesome.
Yes, Braun Breaker, run, Braun Strowman, amble.
Sunset the run. You don't need to run.
Just amble.
You got the power stuff.
I know.
Ozzy says, station that train.
Exactly.
I've never been into the train metaphor anyways,
No.
His shirt says one big son of a bitch, not one giant train.
Yeah.
Stick with the son of a bitch stuff and just have him power slam people,
Yeah, the tilt-the-whirl aspect he's brought into it's pretty cool.
Yeah, have him do that. He don't need to run. I know people like to run. I get it. Not into it.
It just looks like it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So Braun gets the win. He's celebrating. Then Gable gets up, recovers from the power slam, and stares at Alpha Academy. He orders them all in the ring. So Maxine and Tozawa get in. He gives Tozawa the what's for first, grabs them, but then Maxine steps in between them. And so he mocks her for having to wear the walking boot and the crutch, and then takes the crutch away from her, tosses it to the floor. And he tells Maxine to get out of the ring. And then Gable slaps Tozawa, and that's when he had enough. So he has his back turned when this is happening, and he just freezes. He turns around slow and looks at Gable and shoves him. Massive pop.
Yeah.
And so Gable's cowering in the corner, and Otis is approaching him like he's going to hit him. But instead, Otis backs off. Instead, helps Maxine and Tozawa get up the ramp to the back, and the whole time Gable's screaming at them, "We're a family."
Yeah. I thought it was really good
I think
stuff.
it's much more powerful for Otis not to beat the shit out of Gable.
It's dude, we have to get away from those standard, seen them a million time pro wrestling tropes and start looking at these people like they're people. I mentioned this, I think, during the pre-show. Somebody cut one of those little fan videos together using a Coldplay song of the history of Otis and Gable. And it's deep. They've been together for a long time, and their history precedes WWE.
Yep.
And yeah, you're not going to just snap on a guy that you've got that kind of history with and go out and become an animal. If you're going to get Otis to the point where he's his own guy, you got to give him some depth and complexity, and him exercising, restraint because of his affection for this guy who basically picked him up when he was at the lowest of lows.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep.
More sense than just, oh, let's have wrestling. I beat you up. Now we have wrestling match.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be a match at some point. But
there'll
sure
definitely
it'll
be a match.
situation where Otis is going to question whether he's going to take things past a certain level with Chad Gable. There should be.
Yeah.
Then we get a telestrator segment where Pat McAfee is going over the hotel room key segments from last week, including when Finn snatched it. And then we're in the clubhouse.
I like during the telestrator stuff was really funny. And then in the end, it always cracks me up when he sort of, drops some curse words. They pointed out the Rey Mysterio action figure with the little tag on it, says, "I'm a deadbeat dad." He says, "Look at what these assholes did to Rey Mysterio."
Yeah.
It was funny.
It's pretty funny. So we're in the clubhouse, and Finn's talking to Carlito and JD about what a problem Braun Strowman still is. So Priest walks in, and Finn congratulates him on the title defense and says, "Hey, I got your back." And Priest goes, "That can wait. I want to talk about the key card you took last week." And Finn says, "You sound like you're accusing me of something. I'll have you know I took it to protect Dom. It's gone. It's in the trash. Is that okay with you, champ?" Just real condescending like.
Yeah.
And Priest goes, "I didn't mean it that way. You've acted a bit strange lately, so it's why I questioned it. Anyways, you have a qualifying match tonight. I have no doubt you're the next Mr. Money in the Bank, but as champion, I got to know where's your head at." And Finn says, "I've always been straight with you. When I get that briefcase, I'm going to cash in and become champ." On Cody. Oof. "Besides, you want Jay or Ray running around with that briefcase? Trust me." And Priest says, "Glad we're on the same page. Dom, you look like you're missing something." 'Cause Dom's in the corner going through his stuff. And Dom says, "I can't find my purple cow vest." And Carlito says, "Probably left them in Liv's hotel room, you dirty dog." And he's laughing. And JD goes, "You're not helping here." And then Priest starts yelling at Carlito in Spanish and is like, "Don't you have a match to get ready for?" So Carlito, JD, and Dom leave. Priest asks Finn if he's talked to Rhea, and Finn goes, "No, I'm staying as far away from her as possible."
Carlito being a 45-year-old walking party foul is my favorite thing. This guy is great, man. Oh, yeah. Dan here says, "Every time I see Carlito, he makes me laugh." Yeah, he's great.
You should not be beating Dragon Lee, though.
I'm cool with it. I'll be honest with you. I'm cool with it. Once Dragon Lee's 45, he can start notching some wins. But I thought that was good.
He's got to wait 20 years to win a match?
Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Oh, my goodness.
Why not? Anyways. So, yeah, after that, we had, women's Money in the Bank qualifying triple threat match. Zelina Vega versus Kiana James versus Io Sky. Io Sky is amazing, man. She was the glue that held this match together. She's so flipping good. She ended up getting the win with a moonsault on Kiana James.
Kiana James, yeah.
Yeah. But this is a really good match.
And Liv came down to ringside
that's
with
right,
Dom's vest, and Zelina goes after her. And then after the match, Io's celebrating. Liv is taunting Zelina. And then we see a recap of Braun taking out Ricochet. And then Sami Zayn comes to the ring for a promo and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to walk into Corpus Christi still." Corpus Christi.
Oh, that sounds like a good cereal. Corpus
Man, I'm
Christi.
hungry. I'm hungry, man. It's noon. It's lunchtime for old Larson.
Yeah, dude. What time do you eat breakfast? Pretty early, huh?
I do. So today, all right, tangent time. Today I got up at like 6:30.
Yeah.
So I walked the dog, had breakfast pie around 7.
Yeah.
Worked out, had a protein shake probably 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then before we started, I made myself a small peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I was hungry.
Dude, yeah, man. Your fucking metabolism is just off the charts.
Off the charts, man.
It's like Braun Breaker.
I guess so. I'm not out there running 23 miles an hour yet.
Oh,
When does that
your
happen?
muscle fibers are, man. That's how quickly they're
It's all
repairing.
the fast twitch muscles. Anyways, Sami continues last Saturday. Chad Gable did not make it easy. Boo him. I don't like him. Never said it, but it's never easy in the ring with him. All this personal stuff started because I beat him in a wrestling match. Now, month after month, ups and downs, the highs and lows, personal attacks and sneak attacks. It is over because I beat him in a wrestling match. As far as I'm concerned, I'm moving on from Chad Gable. But I'd be lying if I said it was easy to move on from Alpha Academy. He starts making analogies between his own time and the Bloodline. And ultimately, he says, you have to give them the latitude to make the realization that they'll leave when they are ready. And he says, after tonight, I hope they're ready. And he says, now I look forward to my job, which is defending this belt against anybody and everybody. So Braun Breaker's music hits. He comes to the ring and tells Sami.
This music, hold on a second. It's gotta.
You know what it needs to change? The tempo needs to increase at least 15%.
Yeah.
And the drums have to hit harder.
It's so ill-fitting for him.
But if you make it faster,
yeah, it needs to be more aggressive. Yeah,
it needs to be more aggressive and
drums and tempo,
and mix up the drum rhythm a little bit. Like the guitar works.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little too laid back for him.
It is. I think a lot too laid back for him.
Yeah.
The music popped on, and I'm with these Def Rebel themes, dude. I'm lost. Like it was because it was holding on Sami for the longest time for like, I don't know, 10 seconds of his music. And I'm like, what the fuck is coming out right now? I don't even know.
Yeah.
And then
They're
it
also
shows him.
generic sounding, I know.
Dude, the police sirens. Give them police sirens.
I don't know why they dropped that.
Dude, do the police sirens. And then you could put whatever fucking music you want on there. But it's like,
still sound aggressive.
Oh, people are popping. It's like the glass break.
I love sirens
Braun
in
these
NXT.
days. I know, yeah. So Braun comes out, and Sammy's like, did you interrupt me just to stand there? Because he's just standing there. Or do you have something to say? And Braun just sort of chuckles. He's so tired of being disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to say much. He said, I think you know what I'm here for, what I'm capable of doing. I left a long list of bodies behind me, and you're my friend on my list. He said, I'm taking that Intercontinental Championship off your hands. Holler if you hear me. And then Sammy's like, oh, this is what you want? You can't have this. Here's a tangent for you. It's a Sami Zayn tangent.
Sure.
I am so cold on Sami Zayn as champion. He's sort of like sanctimonious sometimes, you know. Yeah. He's like, oh, I know what's best for you kind of shit with the Alpha Academy. I've been there. I know everything. He's a bit up on his high horse as champion. I love Sami Zayn as the underdog challenger. And I feel like he needs to spend most of his career in that role because as champion, I kind of find him a bit on the insufferable side.
You know what? You can have it both ways, though. You can have it with good booking or interesting booking, at least in Steve's estimation, where he is champion, but yet still the underdog.
Yeah.
And
just
I think
being worn down by all the big
there's a
players coming his way.
And I get it as Sami, someone who's been through similar experiences that Otis and Maxine and Tozawa are going through now with Alpha Academy. Sami himself with the Bloodline. And I appreciate that he's there, be like, hey, I'm here for you. And if it was a situation where he had come out and said, oh, after what just happened, you all need to leave now. But instead he goes, I understand, having gone through the situation, they'll leave when they're ready. It's not like he's telling them, I get your point, but I guess that last night was an instance where he could have gone really over the top with the sanctimonious stuff.
That's a good point. I think what really
instead he took a step back,
What killed me, you're right. What really killed me was when Sheamus and Braun Breaker were having the face-off, and Sami's face gets in the middle of them. Well, it sounds like you guys need to figure this out. And there was something so shitty about it.
Yeah, I know. When he gets kind of shitty, it can be funny, but I understand.
It's kind of
when he was back there just kind of looking at him, I thought that was actually kind of funny because I knew what he was thinking.
Yeah, when he's shitty as a bad guy, like back when he had the camera crew, I thought he was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And then when he was guy out of his depth in the bloodline, that was amazing. That was great. They do that really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody should do the sort of Seth Rollins, I'm working myself to the bone thing, and I'm out of my depth here, he would be great at that. But regardless, I like Sami. He's cool. He's a great wrestler.
Yes.
So anyways, it's a lobster head thing comes out. Sheamus comes out, says, Corpus Christi, you're on crack. And or something like that. He says, what's the crack?
What's cracking, essentially.
Yeah, but it's funny because it sounded like he said, hey, where's the crack?
Decidedly heel move from Sheamus to say, hey, Corpus Christi, you're on crack.
Hey, Corpus Christi, I'm looking for some crack. Where do I find some? Whoa, Sheamus. Hold on now. This is PG anyways.
Yeah.
So he comes out, and he basically tells Braun, he's like, listen, I've wanted that title for a long time. I respect you a lot. He says, I'd do anything to get, I'm sorry. He says, everybody knows I've chased that title for a long time, putting on banger after banger. If you're going to give out opportunity, Sami, consider me. I want you to know I respect you a lot. If and when that opportunity arrives, this isn't personal. I'd do anything to get my hands on that. He says, and then Braun is just standing there behind him,
he's feeling like he's overlooked. That's the chip on his shoulder.
Ignored. That's his entire thing. Yeah. He says, hey, just going to walk in here, act like I'm not standing here. You out of your mind? No one cares about your list of championships you haven't won. The sob story. We all know what happens. You get in my way. Right now, you're standing in my way. I'll kick your ass too. Sheamus is like,
I like that you read that like a one long run-on sentence.
I'm sorry, but the more Scott Steiner he brings to his presentation, the better off he'd be. I think there's a limit to that because you need to be like an actual well-developed character, unlike Scott Steiner, who's just a walking erection. Yeah. But in the case of Braun Breaker, I think you got to add a little bit, more dashes.
I feel like they're doing a pretty good job with Braun right now. I got very few complaints with how they've been booking him.
Chainmail. We can both agree that
chainmail establish his own legacy. As his
Bro,
own
look what he's wearing right now. It's a shirt with a dog face on it.
Yeah, but that's not his uncle. That's his dad.
It's an all-over print dog. I know, it's terrible.
Yeah,
I don't want to be. Nobody needs to be more Rick Steiner. He needs to be more Scott Steiner. Anyways, so Sheamus.
He just needs to be Braun Breaker, Steve.
Sheamus responds, calls him a kid. Get to the back of the line.
So condescending.
Yeah, then shitty Sami walks in. And is like, okay, you need to sort this out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the back and talk to Pierce. I'm pretty sure Corpus Christi doesn't want to see you guys talk it out. They want to see a fight. And then, so yeah, that happens. Then we have a Dragon Lee video. He's like, Carito cost me my chance to tag with the legend, my hero, Rey Mysterio. Yeah. Number one fan should not be a guy who wins a lot, Larson. I'm sorry. But Dragon Lee's gimmick right now is number one Rey Mysterio fan.
Well, how about his gimmick isn't number one Rey Mysterio fan?
Let's do that first, then he can start notching up some wins.
Yeah, that should never be his gimmick.
Yeah.
So anyways, he's got a match coming up against Carito. He makes his entrance. Before that, we get a video package from the women's tag title match at Clash at the Castle. And we get an interview with Alba and Isla, new champions, which is good. I'm happy they got TV time. Mm-hmm. First episode of Raw after winning the titles. So Jackie asked him if they've come down off the high of victory yet, and Alba says not yet. Honestly, to win these in front of your family and friends, and we get to celebrate in front of with them too, is what we work towards and more. And Isla says celebration time is over though, and the hard work starts now. Wherever we are in the world, we will take them on and take out whoever wants our titles. And then Shayna and Zoe walk in, and Shayna says, "Titles A." Hey Zoe, we beat them pretty easily last week. Also, the ref didn't see it, but I'm certain that I made Jade tap out. And Zoe says, "The way I see it, you're keeping those titles warm for us while we focus on Money in the Bank, so we're going to come for those in due time."
I like that they brought up the tapping out thing because I know a lot of people were talking about that. I thought it was more, I don't know. Do you think that was intentional on Jade's part? I saw it as more, you're trying to sort of get position. And so she started like, sometimes you'll do certain things if you feel, oh, she's trying to sell the choke, not I'm tapping out. It's okay. Let me gather myself kind of thing.
Yeah. Or see, all right, this arm's squeezed in here. This arm's squeezed in here. Something like that. Yeah.
I don't think it was supposed to be a tap.
It didn't, based on her performance, didn't seem like the intent was I give up.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Or Mutant Mayday says maybe Shayna was really choking, like had it on too tight.
Oh, and Jade was like, "Hey, loosen up a little bit."
Yeah, but then it looked like she was tapping out. She was tapping out IRL. But I'm glad they brought it because a lot of people were talking about that. And I wonder if backstage maybe they're like, "Hey, you got to be sure not to make it look like you're tapping out."
Then we had Dragon Lee versus Carlito. Of course, we got a bunch of interference here. Liv makes her way down with the vest. Dom tells her to go to the back. And then Zelina runs out and attacks Liv. And Walking Wild and Dom are fighting. Ray's there too. He gets into it with Dom. Dragon Lee goes up top. JD takes him out, and so Carlito hits him with the draping backstabber to get the win.
Yeah, man. Carlito wins again.
Cool or no cool? Not cool. Carlito getting the win here.
Cool. That's cool.
All right.
Yeah. If Dragon Lee got the win, not cool.
Not cool.
Dragon Lee winning at 45, cool.
All right. What if Dragon Lee won, but his gimmick isn't Rey Mysterio fan?
Not cool.
Interesting.
Unless he really went into the dragon aspect of it. If he had like
then the whole dragon thing, like, that's like Steamboat did, where he's breathing
like
fire.
Steamboat did, yeah. Boy, that poor guy. Anyways, after that, Judgment Day hit up the ramp. LWO's checking on Dragon Lee. Liv looks towards Dom before laughing at Zelina in the ring. We see highlights of Priest versus Drew, and then the Punk stuff.
Hold on, I want to say something real quick about the feud between Liv and Zelina.
Yeah,
it's actually a really good first feud for Liv as champ.
Yeah,
especially as it relates to Dom, because Dom can't stand his father, who's in the faction with Zelina.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. The fact that they're always able to come back around to that. Yeah. I mean, they're really setting up some AAA stuff where you're telling stories that go on like 30 years.
I know. Well, and the thing is, too, is like it puts Dom in a situation where, whether he wants to or not, he's helping Liv by fending off the LWO because he can't stand his dad.
Yeah. That is, boy, I haven't thought about that. That's a good one. Yeah. Jesus. After that, we've got Alpha Academy backstage. Gable walks in and he just talks shit. Otis is packing his bags. Gable's like, "What are you doing?" "Packing. We're leaving." Gable's like, "Leaving? Where are you going? We're a family. You can't leave." Otis is like, "We're done." They all pick up their bags and walk off, and Gable just goes unhinged. And he starts screaming at them, who are obviously leaving off camera and walking away. "You're not done until I say you're done, and then you're done. He says, "You're not done until I say you're done. And you're done. You're expelled. You'll be nothing without me. Tiny, ineffective little nothings. I'm everything. I'm huge. I'm massive. I'm going to win Money in the Bank and do something that failure Otis couldn't do. Cash in and become world champion." Now, this is the one thing that I'm like, God damn, this would have been so much better if it was fly on the wall. Because
if
you're
the camera
back way here. Yeah.
Eked in through the doorway.
And Gable needs to look small visually in this as he's saying how big he's going to be. Yeah. The juxtaposition there would be so much more powerful. But
it's like
at this
Citizen
point,
Kane when Orson Welles is talking to Jebediah. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we dig a hole right here and put the camera down here?
There's cement there, Paul. Get a jackhammer.
Get a jackhammer.
Give me my sledgehammer.
Yeah. We don't need Goldberg.
So then Drew's music hits. He comes to the ring and he just says, "CM Punk." Oh, he's seething. He's stewing. He shakes his head. CM Punk.
And the crowd is chanting CM Punk.
He says, I can't do this anymore. Screw this company. I quit. And so he walks out of the ring and heads to the back, and Adam Pearce intercepts him. And Drew says, "I'm serious. I'm done. I'm serious." And we go to commercial, but we come back from commercial, and we're shown what happened during commercial break, whereas Triple H goes up to Drew and tries to calm him down. And I think Triple H says something like, "That wasn't supposed to happen," talking about Clash, about Punk costing the match. And Drew just says, "I'm serious. I'm done." And he walks off, and Pearce says to Triple H, "Let me talk to him. Let me calm him down." So he follows Drew, and Drew says, everybody failed from the top to the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was good stuff. It was good stuff.
Effective. Efficient use of time.
Yeah. After that, we have the Party Girls versus Damage Control.
Damage Control's a mess right now.
Damage Control is a mess. And as EO Sky says, they need some change. But it was cool that they're using Damage Control being a mess to get the win for the Party Girls.
Yeah.
So that was nice. So Dakota stomps Caden through the ropes. Kyrie tags in, gets the insane elbow for 2 as Katana breaks it up. Dakota gets rid of her. Lyra Valkyria is out there to check on Chance. And then Lyra distracts Dakota as Caden slips out, plants Kyrie with a flatliner. Dakota rolls through into a super kick by Caden. Katana tags in. They hit the after party. Chance gets the cover, and they get the win. And Damage Control is just left like, what the fuck just happened?
Then we cut to Braun warming up backstage, and then his match against Sheamus is next. Sheamus looked like he already had a match earlier in the evening when he came out because he had handprints on his chest and welts.
He had
his face was
fucked up,
bruised up or something like that.
I just think that like his time off, because within 2 minutes of a match, he looks gassed, and he's able to put on lengthy matches. I'm just saying, visually speaking, as soon as the match starts, it's and number one guilty guy right here, because it's like 2 minutes of us playing basketball, even though we're playing for an hour and a half. Within 2 minutes, I look gassed and completely done.
Especially in this heat, Steve.
What's that?
Especially in this heat. Oh, did your Liquid IV show up yet?
No.
All right.
No.
I'll try to remember to bring some for you.
Yeah, it might be. Hey, it's supposed to be here today. I'm going to see if it's here yet. My Arby's. Oh, dude. Hold it down 1 minute, and I'll do a live opening.
What are you going to open?
You'll see.
Oh, your shirt. So we got Braun versus Sheamus, as expected, hard hitting. So it ends at a DQ because Ludwig Kaiser interferes. So Braun's looking for a spear. Sheamus counters with the running knee. Sheamus hits the 10 beats. And then Sheamus calls for the bro kick, but instead Ludwig Kaiser grabs his foot and pulls him out of the ring. Ref calls for the DQ. So Sheamus throws Kaiser over the timekeeper area, but then Sheamus turns around, eats a spear from Braun. So that's when refs and producers come down to break it up. And Braun starts to walk away. So Kaiser looks over the barricade at the timekeeper area, sees Sheamus is prone, jumps back over to attack him, sets up his leg against the ring steps to do the running drop kick. So he runs up by the entrance, and Braun's right behind him. So you see Kaiser run down one side of the ringside area, and we go to like an overhead shot, while Braun runs the other side and hits Kaiser with the spear before he can hit the drop kick on Sheamus.
That was amazing. That was so, because you see Braun like line him up. He's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this guy up. Goes around, perfect timing, just destroys him.
It was great. It was great. So then Braun shouting and stuff. So we're backstage, and Dom's just walking around the hallway asking if anybody's seen his vest. And you hear Liv off camera call for him. So he walks over and stands across from her and says, "Please give me my vest." And Liv says, "I like it when you're bossy. Want it back? Only if you take it off me yourself."
Oh.
And Dom hesitates.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, you nervous? Here, I'll even help you a little bit."
Are you nervous?
So she takes the zipper and zips all the way to the top and pulls it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And Dom he's got his concentration face on there.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And so he grabs the zipper and very slowly starts
Very
to lower
slowly.
it. And Damian Priest is looking at his phone.
Probably looking at the New York Times app.
He's doing his connections for the day.
He's looking for Wordle, yeah.
And he goes, Dom! And then Dom freezes. The Priest says, grab your stuff, get to the clubhouse. So he gets the vest off and leaves. And Priest says to Liv, can you just leave the poor guy alone? He wants nothing to do with you. And that's what she says. I think he wants everything to do to me. Oof.
All right, so I got it. This is very exciting, Larson. Very exciting moment for the audio crowd. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see the joy of this. That's why you got to come.
I just want to know what the material's like. Is it good material?
Yeah, it's soft. It's soft.
All right. Are you going to wear it for basketball today?
I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. A shirt of that quality. I don't know if you would just wear it for basketball. Look at that.
Beef week. We have the meats. Look at that guy. Who is that guy?
That's RB made flesh.
Look, he's the undisputed champion.
He is the undisputed champion of meat.
Of meat. That's amazing. 2024 on the back, just so everybody knows. It's WWE and Arby's. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant.
They marketed a whole campaign strictly for Steve, seemingly.
For 1 week. I wonder how many people bought this fucking thing.
You know what? If they're having a meat week or a beef week,
yeah,
why don't they have some meat themed matches?
Oh, yeah, the big men slapping meat battle royal.
Yeah,
do that. Come on,
that's a missed opportunity.
That is amazing.
Is it the digital print or is it super thick silkscreen?
No, it's not silkscreen. It's a digital print, but it's a really nice one.
Good quality. Colors pop,
yeah,
looks like.
Yeah, the colors pop pretty well.
So after that, Cross and Scarlett are backstage. And Cross says, Kofi, Woods, good evening. He's like chill carrying Cross now.
Yeah.
He's super mellow. He says, 2 weeks ago, AOP beat the hell out of you and pinned you 1, 2, 3. Last week, you cost AOP their match and gave me a taste of my own medicine. The numbers game. Cute. You beat me up 2-on-1. On the way here, I was thinking of doing something out of control, but Scarlett had an idea and I wasn't wanting to go to jail. So here's this. What would the fight look like one-on-one? I should challenge either of you to face me next week. One of you stays in the back. One comes out. I'll leave my guys in the back. It's simple and honestly, I hope it's you, Kofi. We all know you'd rather have Woods in the back anyways, right? TikTok, so we get a response right there from the New Day.
Ooh, and this one is pretty gnarly. So Woods says, carrying Cross Final Testament, ever since you came over to Raw, you set your sights on the history makers, the record breakers. We know you've been beating people up all over the world and breaking their bones. And then Kofi says, but you never done any of that here. You have one accolade as NXT champion. What have you done since then? We're the greatest tag team of all time, so who are you to give us advice? And Woods says, you want to talk one-on-one, leaving partners in the back? Carrying, fine. And then Kofi butts in and says, since you're saying my name, it's going to be me. This is validating what Cross just said. You prefer Woods to be in the back. And Woods on his face is like, whoa, buddy.
Yeah.
This was my challenge to accept. And now you're interrupting me doing this. Oh, man, the New Day breaking up. You love to see it,
breaking
Larson.
up. Then we get Jay's backstage. Sorry, in the concourse. And he says, you know what time it is. Main event, Jay Uso is now in your city tonight. Money in the Bank qualifier. I need that W, Oos.
Goose.
I need it for me. I need it for them. My day ones have been with me the whole time. Then I'm going to snatch that briefcase. Sorry. Yeet case.
Yeet.
And cash in, become new world heavyweight champ. If you're down with that, let me hear you say yeet.
Yeet.
His music hits. He comes to the ring. Finn's music hits. He comes to the ring. We get our main event. Oh, and Rey Mysterio, too. We get a triple threat main event qualifying match for Money in the Bank. We got Jey Uso, yeet.
Yeet.
Rey Mysterio, Finn Balor. As expected, Jey Uso gets the win here. Finishing because Braun Strowman runs down once JD and Carlito come to interfere and attack Rey. So, gosh, it does hurt to watch Braun Strowman run.
It does, and it's like as the night wears on and he does it multiple times, it hurts.
I just think when he goes backstage, I hope he's putting some ice on those knees of his.
Yeah, for real.
So he chases JD and Carlito through the crowd. Finn kicks Jay after he's going for a spear. Finn follows with a sling blade. And then he dumps Ray out. He heads up to the top, hits a coup de grace on Ray. So sorry, he didn't dump Ray out of the ring. And then right as he's making the cover for that, Jay hits him with the Uso splash, covers Finn to get the win. So Jay's celebrating. He's standing on the barricade, doing the dance. All yeet.
I've got conflicting feelings about AI art. You know, there's a big conversation right now about it. I follow, because some of them are just funny, this Instagram account called WWE AI Art. And oftentimes they'll use AI stuff to create, concept WWE titles, which you know me. I love looking at championship titles. I'm going to post this on my Twitter right now. I'm going to send it to you. Somebody, one of these accounts designed a Yeet championship. This is like one of the most beautiful titles I've ever seen.
Really?
It's fake. It's AI. But I'm going to send it to you here in just a second. Let's see here. But this looks great. I'm putting it up on my Twitter. It's at MF Steve here if y'all want to look at it. But
while you do that, sorry, go ahead.
Jay had a thing after, because we've talked extensively about the
Uncle
stuff.
Howdy. Yeah.
The Uncle Howdy stuff. But Jay had a digital exclusive afterwards.
Wow. That does look great.
That was fucking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. So like everybody gets murdered in gorilla position. And Kathy's like, she's like, hey, good win for you. And he's like, yeah, I did it for all my peoples. All the people day one been yeeting with me. And she's like, a lot of people are saying that you brought back the Fireflies and that's why the Wyatt Six are here. And Jay says, oh, you saw the end of Raw?
He's like,
said, I don't want none of that smoke. He says, but I'm happy I brought him back. Shout out to Bray Wyatt, my guy. It's the funniest fucking digital exclusive I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Jey Uso, I want him to win the entire thing now. Because, God damn it, I was laughing so hard. I put it in my little Wrestle Juice reaction video.
You have this really intense, dramatic, shocking end to Raw.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't want any of that smoke. They want the Fireflies? They could have them.
Yeah, right. I don't want to get that eat down. He said they can have the Fireflies back.
Yep.
Oh, Jay is so funny. He's so funny. But that title looks so cool.
It does look really cool.
Yeet. But yeah. And then we've already talked you gave a pretty comprehensive rundown of the debut of the Wyatt Six at the end of the episode, and that's where it kicked off. Yeah, but no, given that we've talked now for an hour and a half, the conversation hasn't let up. What a great episode of Raw that was last night.
Yeah, it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Want to answer a few questions?
He said, oh, you saw the end of Raw?
He's not shook. He's like, oh,
no, not at all. He was just like, oh, what a compelling end to a TV show.
I know.
Oh, you saw the end of Raw?
Ty Moore here says, if Damian versus Seth main events the second pay-per-view in a row, PLE in a row over the match Cody will have, then will that put the world title on equal footing with the WWE title? And if not, what more does that title need? It needs Gunther.
Oh, man. Yeah, okay, so this is what this is sad, but this is ultimately what it would need. Night 2 main event.
Yeah.
It's night 2 main event. I mean, if it's not that, then it's not going to be. That being said, it can absolutely be my personal favorite title. Look, I love Cody. I love Cody. But the intrigue behind the world title scene on Raw, the great ensemble they got there, that to me is way more compelling of a story than this guy above me here on the thing.
Then list the challengers just waiting to get to the final boss or Roman. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And look, I have no doubt that once they get to that, it'll be, as they like to say, cinema. I think it'll be The Rock and Cody Rhodes. I think that's going to be a really compelling story. How they're doing this, bad bloodline stuff. If The Rock figures into that, I think that could be just really great stuff.
Yep.
But week to week, the world title on Damian Priest and everybody gunning for him and everybody sort of doing their thing, I think that is some really compelling stuff. So I don't really care about that debate. That debate is sort of moot to me. I just, if you got all these great people coming after it and all you need to watch in WWE is Raw if you want to, I think that's great. I think that's cool.
And there's Gunther. Andre Zimpel here says, if Drew didn't sign a new contract some time ago, I think him quitting would have been more impactful. Made people wonder if it was a work or a shoot. I agree with that. It'd been pretty cool if that word hadn't gotten out that he had signed a new deal. Or if The Rock hadn't gifted him a sword for signing a new deal,
Well, let me ask you this. Is it a matter of when he did it last night, if Triple H or Pierce or somebody, if they had brought that up and said simply, you just signed a new deal, what are you even thinking? And Priest maybe has some sort of quick quip. Yeah, you can keep your deal, shove your deal, something like that. I'm going to have my lawyers.
Yeah.
Something really quick, but addresses that. I think, because I think you're right. I think something that addresses that might have helped that situation.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, wow. Angel Zeros here says, with the D'Angelo family in NXT and now the Wyatt Six, who else should commit murder in WWE?
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
It seems like Braun tried last week.
Yeah, Braun definitely tries. I would love the Liv Dom thing to sort of turn into like a dark comedy, like via the Coen brothers, where like she manipulates him into killing somebody.
You might be able to turn into like a film noir.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, or like a Fargo type deal where he like has to put somebody in a wood chipper.
Oh my goodness. Justin Sider here says rank Karrion Kross's hair, so no hair, short hair when he returned, so he had the hair, but it was not as long, or the long hair like now. Which one do you think looks best?
So number one, we can all agree he's got a great head of hair.
I don't know why he hasn't been showing that off for years.
Which is why bald Cross is lowest on the
agreed.
Totem pole. Yeah. I'm not huge on the bun that he sort of keeps it up in. If he brings it down and that's how he wrestles, I kind of feel like that's going to be top for me.
I feel like just when he had hair but wasn't super long, for me, that's tops.
Is it? Okay.
I think so. It really worked for him.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, I'm a wrestler. I got to grow my hair out long because most wrestlers have long hair.
Yeah.
I think the short hair he had when he came back, I think that's tops for me.
There you go. Let's see here. John in Alistair voice says, can't think of more perfect pairings of wrestlers to themes than Mark Henry and Samoa Joe's WWE themes. Who else would you say has this type of perfect pairing? For the literal standpoint, DIY's theme song that kicks off with, we are DIY. It tells everybody who they are, and factually, it's correct.
It's sort of like, not only does Austin Theory's theme sound basically exactly like DIY, so there's a pairing there that works. It says exactly where Austin Theory is from.
Right. A-Town down.
He is from Atlanta.
Yeah.
A-Town.
Yeah.
So you get background on who he is and where he's come from right there at the very beginning of his song.
Yeah. Karrion Kross. That theme song is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And when they do the whole entrance thing for it, it's really
it sets
great.
up his relationship with Scarlett really well. You know exactly.
Yeah.
John Talks a Bit asks, what is the ceiling for Otis after the split from Chad?
I don't know. You know, dude, honestly, these days I hesitate so much on putting a ceiling on anybody, given that they have been able to turn Liv into an intriguing character for me, and not just because she's, you know, being like, oh man, but like the manipulation aspect I think is really interesting. Like, oh man, I want to see what she's gonna do next because this is fucked up. So, and same with Gable. Like 2 months ago, I was like, I don't know if I see it. Like I knew that Gable had the ingredients, but I needed to see that play out in the story. And,
Totally.
dude, we're there, and it's great. So I don't know with Otis. It used to be, oh, his ceiling is comedy guy because I just don't see him as a Vader type killer. But now I don't know. They're adding depth and complexity to the guy, and once you do that to anybody, it increases their odds.
What if you do a spot where Otis gets his eye popped out and he has to push it back in?
I mean, you know, then I can maybe see him as a Vader type. Sure.
Edward Munoz here says, I see a lot of folks in your YouTube comments recently being extremely anti-AEW and pro-WWE, and not in a constructive way, in a cornet kind of way. Who wants to be the one to tell them you guys just care about good wrestling product and aren't AEW haters?
Good luck telling them anything.
I think we're pretty clear about that. We want every company to succeed. Well, you want every company to put on compelling, interesting content, because that's what we like talking about the most, is when the programming is good.
Yeah.
And there's fun, interesting stuff going on. And part of that includes good wrestling. Part of that includes good stories being told, or interesting stories being told. We don't want to. Here's the thing. You know, I think there's somewhere along the way we got labeled as the Positive Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Yeah, we ain't been that in a long time.
But I think it was a situation where we would try to. I don't think we were ever like positive for the sake of being positive. We were just never negative for the sake of being negative. I think we've always been pretty fair in terms of how we critique any company in what they put out there. I don't think we've ever been positive for the sake of being positive, because that's disingenuous.
Right. Yeah, they mistake, you know, us trying to find the fun, or I'm sorry, not trying to finding the fun in the absurdity of pro wrestling. They mistake that with us bending over backwards to be positive about things.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't sit here and look, I'll be completely transparent. Every time I've turned on, you know, like JD's podcast, because every once in a while on a Monday night, I'll just scroll through Twitter and be like, oh, what's he doing? And look, he's built up a large audience sitting there being angry about stuff. At least that's what I see. I don't watch his entire thing, but I'll pop it on and be like, he's just yelling about stuff. And then I'll turn it off.
Yeah,
good for him. He's crafted a business around that, whatever. We haven't been that. You know, we got called out by Alfred Konuwa recently on his Pro Wrestling Bits channel, saying that, oh, we're the pie. And it was in a comedic way. And I've praised the editing on his stuff because it's really good. His thumbnails are amazing. But I thought it was a bit disingenuous. 2 years ago, we had a video on our Friendo Club Wrestling channel that did like 60,000 views. And literally it was AEW's Broken was the name of the thing. We're not the podcast that just does positive stuff. We haven't really ever been that. We're just not trying to be overly negative about things in a disingenuous way.
Yes.
And that's kind of what we aspire to be, is just, or what we try to be, is just, we just try to be honest about things. Mm-hmm. We have our point of view. We're not going to sit here and just shit on stuff to shit on stuff.
Yep.
Just to rake in the views. I checked Chartable today. Behind Solomonster and Deadlock, we're the number 3 podcast in the audio realm that doesn't feature wrestlers on it.
Yeah.
We're number 3.
Yeah.
Out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good spot to be in. And we didn't get there being overly negative or overly anything. We're just us.
Yeah.
We're just honest.
Yep.
We're a couple of fans. We ain't got scoops. All we have is our chemistry and our opinion and our analytical whatever analysis.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what the question was. What was the question?
Oh,
the AEW people in the. I understand when people look, if people were into us back when we were into AEW, it was because AEW was presenting their stuff in a manner that spoke to us.
And WWE wasn't as well.
And WWE wasn't. Go back and look at our early AEW reviews and contrast with the same time period. Our WWE reviews. We were fucking miserable. We didn't get to sit here for an hour and 40 minutes talking about segment after segment after segment of cool shit happening in WWE. Sometimes you had to pick and you had to be, okay, well, let's see what we can find in here that was good. That's different.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find something that's fun to talk about, because it's not fun to sit here and bitch about stuff.
Yep.
Like I found myself 2 weeks ago bitching about AEW in our AEW review. I'm like, well, fuck, why am I even doing this? Like, let me just try to find some fun shit there and make fun of the other stuff. And because I don't like going super negative. It's not fun to go super negative. For some people, that works. Good for them.
Doesn't work for us.
Doesn't work for us, brother. So, yeah. I mean, you can either go crazy, and get your blood pressure all going crazy, like being negative and like, oh, this is all garbage, or you can try to find some fun in the absurdity of it.
Well, and also have some perspective. It's professional wrestling.
We got that guy. I saw this one. I approved it too. I was going to try to pin it to our review of Clash of the Castle. And this is not a shot from me at Sean Ross Sapp. You and I like Sean.
Oh, Sean's great.
But we got this comment. PR Man says, this is why Sean Ross Sapp is the best in the business. These two guys are the poster boys for the WWE. Can you kiss any more ass? Can you give some constructive criticism so you don't lose your WWE fan club membership? Guys pointing out the good is great, but be honest and critical about the bad. Drew and Priest was very obvious. Cody and AJ had no story, and no way does Cody lose. Women's match was a disaster thanks to Jade. WWE blames the ropes. Unreal. Don't be partial, guys. If AEW had these many botches, there would be an uproar on the net. And there it is. There it is. I saw something the other day on Twitter. If AEW presented a pay-per-view with 5 matches, 2 were skippable, 1 got the crowd pissed off, they'd never hear the end of it. And that's so disingenuous, because big picture, this is a premium live event. I'm sorry, a pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it. It's a show. It's an event.
Yeah.
That is telling a chunk of story out of a larger, very ambitious story across several storylines. And AEW isn't presenting their stuff that way.
No.
So within context, yeah, maybe if AEW just out of nowhere, what they're doing right now, did those things, sure. But that's not AEW. That's not what they're doing. And it works within the context of WWE. It works. That event worked because it was part of a larger story, and AEW's not doing that. And for people who like that presentation in AEW, great, awesome, enjoy it. Doesn't speak to me as much as what WWE is doing speaks to me. And I'm sorry if you used to like us because we were on board with AEW, but guess what? That's because they used to do things a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. All right.
Let's see. I think I've got more. I think I've got more questions. But I can understand. It's like, I like these guys. Why are they not talking about the thing that I like now in a way to make me validated because I like it?
That speaks to me. Yes, I know.
And it's cool. If you don't like how we're doing things, there's,
there's countless other wrestling podcasts. If there's another wrestling podcast that speaks to you, by all means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, we got a couple more. Elemental Giant says, is Braun's spear the second most over finisher in the WWE after the RKO?
Braun's pretty over right now.
Braun is pretty over, and they've done a good job with that in a very short period of time.
They have.
Blind Cinephile says, should there be a subplot on Raw of wrestlers trying to get traded or leave for SmackDown to stay away from the Wyatt Six, and Pierce trying to keep them calm? I do think that's actually a good point. They should address this.
I know.
In some way.
Unsafe working conditions.
Yeah. Let's see here. Nick says, do creepy / supernatural groups like the Wyatt Six even need to have a mission statement? They're already in the wrestling business. People understand it's not real. I don't know what that means. I think every character should have motivation.
Yeah, that the audience can understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Matthew Salinas says, do you think there will be any kayfabe consequences for the Wyatt Six?
I'm sure Pierce will try.
Yeah, I think he'll be out of his element, though.
Yes.
We've sort of covered a lot of this stuff.
Disc Golfing Goon here asks, if WWE continues pushing both groups and they inevitably clash, would a Judgment Day Wyatt Six feud warrant a War Games match? It depends on the story being told.
Oh, the Wyatt Six and War Games?
Against Judgment Day. Another family that's seemingly falling apart.
Yeah, if it like you said, if it's a good story, then sure. You know. This is a good one. Jay Smooth says, what would Steve and Larson custom Money in the Bank briefcases look like? It would look like this Arby shirt.
It'd be that painting right there.
Push this guy. Yeah, exactly. Push this guy right here.
Yeah.
That guy needs to be pushed. The Arby melt or wherever he is. Yeah. Anyways, all right. That's going to do it for the show today. Some people are asking, should we bring in Triple H really quick?
No,
just talk about his experience.
2 hours. It's getting late. Let's go play basketball, man.
Oh yeah, we got to play basketball. I got a haircut appointment at 3:30.
Oh my gosh, we got to get going then.
We got to get going. All right. So anyways, one last word from Triple H. Here we go.
No word.
What's up, everybody? The game of games. Oh my God. That was crazy last night, wasn't it? I walk away, I go to it's like the end of the show, and I go to catering. I'm like, good job, everybody. And I go to catering to go get a bagel. Because every once in a while, I like to treat myself to a bagel. And everything bagel. You know, it's got all the shit.
Yeah, bagels. Oh, everything. Yeah, bagels are
and
good.
Then I hear a big ruckus. And I'm like, I'm not going back there where I don't have my trusty sledgehammer with me, you know. And as much as I'd like to dole out some pedigrees, I was like, I'm not doing that. But then I go back there and everybody's dead, and there's like a guy who looks just like me, but he's got like a tattoo. I'm not big on tattoos. I think that you don't need those, you know, I don't really need them. And so I was like, man, what happened here? There's a lot of blood. But it's okay. Nobody actually died. Except for that one guy with the blood splatter. That guy died.
Oh, that's confirmation there. Appreciate that. Thank you for your time, Triple H. We're going to wrap things up.
I feel like it's at the end of the day, you're trying to get rid of me.
Well, I mean, it's late. We went long today, trying to get out the basketball court before it gets too hot. Apparently, Steve.
You went long. You know who's going long? Dom Mysterio. I get it. Because of an erection. All right. Sorry about that. He just sort of forced his way into the Zoom call.
Yeah, I just
had nothing to do with me.
I'm hungry. I want to eat. I want to play some hoops.
All right, man. You're going to have an everything bagel? That sounds pretty good right now.
No, I'm not huge on everything bagels. I'm a cinnamon raisin bagel type guy.
Oh, man. All right. Anyway, that's going to do it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Till next time. We'll see you later. Hit that subscribe button.
Goodbye.